Hello and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Muh Thin Roundtable discussion. This is episode 36. Muh Feelz. We're going to trigger some people tonight, and it's going to be so much fun. Before we get started, let me remind you, though, that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the reuse, redistribution, and modification of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. We got a full house tonight, including Mr. Kevin. Our favorite Fed is back. Hi, Kev.
Salute.
Hiding over there in the corner.
Yes, get closer. Pretend you like me.
Oh,
Hey, she let you out of the cage, and you're not eating fish heads tonight for a reason. All right, so just be happy about it.
That would be a nice segue into what I want to talk about later. But let's do articles first.
Fish heads and cages are...
No,
What, they're like feminists advocate putting men in cages?
letting him out of the cage.
Okay.
No, it was a different angle.
Oh, okay.
You're going to talk about that?
Yeah,
that
I'm like a blunt
Jurassic
force
World
object.
porn
So.
parody?
Jurassic,
Oh, I hope we talk about that because I haven't seen it yet, and I'm hoping somebody else has to give
the
me a
article said that
synopsis.
It's Jurassic Wood.
You hear about this one yet, Kevin?
what?
Have I missed
Somebody-
anything since I haven't seen the first ones?
No. Somebody made a porn parody of Jurassic World.
Yo. Are they wearing the T-Rex suits?
Oh God, I hope so much.
Say yes.
Yes.
Yo.
Quote,
No.
your scientists
No.
were so preoccupied with whether or not they could fuck a dinosaur, they didn't stop to think if they should fuck a dinosaur.
What? Yo. That's my tagline.
This will be the greatest film in the history of mankind. Generations in the
If
future.
it's not nominated
we'll
for a
remember.
fucking Academy Award, I'm gonna be pissed.
Jurassic Park is a cool kind of cinematic history. 25 years after its 1993 release, it remains almost universally loved. In addition to the show-stopping dinosaur chases and epic musical score, the film was packed with crackling banter and meaty themes unmatched in any of its sequels. But the thing that even the original Jurassic Park doesn't have, a penis-shaped volcano. It's an obvious oversight that will be remedied in the release of Jurassic Wood Swollen Ding Dong, a porn parody of the franchise made by the production company Wood Rocket and Pornhub.
I'm actually offended by the title of that because really, you guys had this opportunity for so many puns, and like you
I know, right?
completely fucked it up.
Just wait. Released on Thursday on Pornhub, which means it's free, the film tells the tale of how Jurassic Park became Jurassic Brothel when scientists combined the DNA of dinosaurs and porn stars, according to the press release. The stars of Jurassic Wood, who are based on the Jurassic World characters Owen, Chris Pratt, and Claire, Bryce Dallas Howard, quote, must try to get the sexy dino ladies off of the island before the dildo volcano erupts and they all meet a sticky, gooey end.
Wow.
All right,
And
so this is the most racy fucking episode of Anarchy Among Friends so far.
I don't know, man.
And we're only in like the first 5 minutes. All right, so what are you gonna say?
Oh,
It
wow.
was they mixed like hooker and dinosaur DNA, right?
Apparently,
I'm sure there's a brontosaurus in there.
Poontang finds a way. Poontang finds a way, and
God.
Oh my god.
See, they should have done the original though, because I mean, the original has like Samuel L. Jackson saying, "Hold on to your butts." I mean, wait,
clever girls.
how do we know that there isn't a Jurassic Pork somewhere out there in the universe?
Dude, not only that,
I mean,
they
come
could
on,
have redone. They could have redone the scene where the fucking dinosaur spits in the fucking dude's face, but replace it with a chick. Yo.
His dick just like his dick has one of those collars that spreads out. And like,
oh my god.
Oh, that little tour ride would be entirely different.
Oh shit.
Oh, that is not for kids.
Dead. I'm dead.
And you know what? To anybody who's watching, don't fucking ask us what any of this has to do with anarchy, because we don't.
We're here for a good time, not for an educational time.
If you were looking for an education, you've come to the wrong place.
Go watch the Dangerous History podcast if you want a freaking education.
Yeah. There's a lot of much more educational ones out.
Just learned what porns to watch. Educational.
I'm fucking watching that later. That is happening.
You have to do a full AAR if you do it.
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
No.
Holy shit. All right. What's our next topic?
All right.
We could be stuck on this one all night if we don't.
Yeah, seriously. No pun intended.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if like she meant that innocently or as like a subtle sexual pun, being stuck on it. I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Yeah. Innuendo time.
Yeah.
Innuendo time.
Always assume that I meant something in a sexual way. Just when in
when in doubt.
When in doubt.
All right. Okay. Democratic congressman wants taxpayer-funded dorms. Legislation would subsidize living expenses for House members.
Socialist
they
housing?
don't make enough already or anything.
Yeah.
Democratic member of Congress want taxpayers to subsidize their housing, signing onto legislation that would allow them to deduct living expenses for members of the House of Representatives.
And what do we? Is anybody like giving odds on whether this passes or not? Every time there's something in it for them, does anybody take odds?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's that's the whole part of it. It won't pass because of some of the language in the bill, which I'll get to yet. Representative Benny Thomas, Democrat out of Mississippi, introduced a bill that would ban members of Congress from sleeping in their office and would change the tax code to allow House members to deduct their spending on housing in D.C. up to $3,000. The deduction would not apply to senators.
Oh, yeah, it's dead.
Oh, so they're only.
Well, they'll change the language of the bill in the Senate.
Yeah. Thompson also proposed turning a vacant building near Capitol Hill into apartments for House members at the expense of taxpayers, which critics have dubbed a congressional animal house.
Well,
the taxpayer watchdog group Citizens Against Government Waste criticized Thompson's legislation and his proposed, quote, taxpayer-funded dorms. Quote, on May 16, 2018, Representative Thomas introduced H.R. 5845, the No Couches for Congress Act, which would ban members of Congress from sleeping in their offices, the group said. He also proposed converting vacant resident halls near the Capitol into affordable housing for members of the Congress who make $174,000 a year. He claimed that it would be available for members who found housing cost to be prohibitive.
If you make $174,000 a fucking year and any amount of housing cost is prohibitive, y'all need to reevaluate your budget.
No.
However, the claim that housing is unaffordable is believed by the average monthly cost of a studio apartment in Washington, D.C., which costs $1,602 a month, or less than 10% of the member's annual salary. The average American spends 33% on their annual income on housing.
Yeah.
How much do you think I spend on my housing, assholes?
You know what? Let's forget that the average American spends 33% of their annual income on housing. how much income do those assholes steal from us every year? That number's like 45%. And they don't fuck about that.
Well, and that 45% is conservative.
Yeah, it's depending on where you live. Like here in California, we actually spend, I think it's up to like 52% of our total income on taxes, state, federal, sales, property, et cetera, et cetera. So we spend like
gas
up
tax,
to
all that shit.
Yeah, which is, and the state has like a $7 billion surplus, but you know none of those taxes we get.
Well, for Commonwealth of taxation, we got tax every fucking time you turn around here. Like we pay property tax on our cars twice a year.
What?
That's bullshit right there.
That's fucking insane, dude.
We just wrote
fucking insane.
A check for over $500, and we'll have to do it again in December.
Wow.
For the taxes on our cars.
Holy
every
shit!
Fucking year.
I've never heard of such a thing.
That almost makes it worth it to like rent or like buy a tiny piece of land in another state with like a mailbox on it, so that you can register your car to that address. And
right.
They don't let you do that unless you're active duty military. Like while we were here, we still had residency in another state. Otherwise they'll still come after you. They're super serious about getting their money.
Well, I mean, I had to deal with that when I was stationed at actually it was right after I got moved to Bragg from Benning. My normal address, my actual permanent address, was in Wisconsin, and I hadn't gotten my title and new plates from them yet. And I got pulled over in Georgia trying to transfer from Benning to Bragg, and I got pulled over on the drive, and that was a nightmare.
I bet.
Just a nightmare, because like I had to get
like 5 or 6 different fucking jurisdictions at that point. I mean,
it was to the point where I legitimately just called JAG and was like, "Help me!" Like, what else to do?
Yeah, I hate that shit. So
what it is like it's welfare. That's what this is. This is welfare.
Yeah,
absolutely it is.
They want government subsidized housing. They want tax breaks. They want all this other BS because they quote can't afford an apartment on $174,000 salary.
What do you do with the other $170,000? Because like $4,000, I'm just saying, in my area, could probably take care of it.
All they need. Okay, forget the fact that we don't fucking need them to begin with. They don't even need to be there. But if they're going to do this shit where they have a residence in another state, then they come to DC when Congress is in session. All they need is a studio, like Jason said. That's $1,600 to $2,000 a month in DC.
Yeah,
they can fucking do that on their income.
Absolutely,
but you don't even take into. I mean, they have the congressional fucking allotted amount of money that they make a year, which is whatever. What did you say? $174,000.
$174,000. That's their salary.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So you got that, and then they're legally allowed to engage in insider trading. So that's how they fucking end up as millionaires in Congress. So I mean, you got all that fucking money that they're making, plus whatever dirty dealings they're doing on the side for lobbyists or whatever the fuck.
Plus the fact,
and they're making money hand over fist, and then they want us to pay for their fucking housing. They can fuck off.
Plus the fact that typically elitist or independently wealthy people run for public office anyways.
Well, yeah,
that
exactly.
Expensive.
Yeah.
So already
I mean, okay, let's even by that it was $1,600 was the average, right? So let's go 2,000. Let's say $2,000 a month. That's what their rent is.
If you don't want to,
that's only 24,000.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a drop in the bucket, dude.
Fucking grand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the thing, okay, like they are maintaining a residence in another state, their home state.
Even 24,000. Let's say
your second home. They literally asked for this fucking job, begged people to put them in this. You know what? You want it that bad? Your fucking wife can go work, motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Okay, let's go back to numbers. Let's go back to numbers. 2,000 for rent
for all those DC prostitutes.
Yeah.
Hey, those hookers are expensive. God damn it.
Let's go back to the numbers. $2,000 for rent. Exaggerating, let's say $2,000 more for bills. Right? So you're looking at $4,000 a month. Right? Mm-hmm. Add in food, you're looking at $5,000. Right. Well, if they have 2 residencies, you double that, right? 60 and 60 is 120. They're still sitting on $54,000.
Right.
Yeah. For being welfare whores.
And that is more than the average American makes per year.
Except they pay taxes. They have to pay the shit taxes they make the rest of us pay.
Well, good. Fuck them.
That was but before. That's gross.
True.
What the hell was I gonna say? They like, isn't that fucking pretty much what, like, you know, the inner party does in like a socialist or communist regime? Like, you know, they fucking live off the fucking, like, they're parasitic off the proletariat.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and you know,
it's always the people's studio apartment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
People's revolution. Calm down. No, you know, but here's the thing. Is if you look back at the United States history, which is kind of unique, the United States history, the people who did the laws and went to Congress, the whole reason that Congress is only in session for so long is because these people are meant to have like normal functioning fucking jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Their own
people from the fucking state.
Right, and then they occasionally have to go do this thing where they represent everybody, and then they come back to do their normal fucking job.
Yeah, but they do that now. Now it's a fucking career. That is their whole fucking job.
Yep. And Bernie Sanders never had a real job.
Well, that's the whole thing. As long as
have you guys ever watched C-SPAN for any appreciable length of time? Like, half these motherfuckers,
not without a nap,
they're asleep in session.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their seats
or they're on their phone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're working hard.
Well, that's the whole thing. But I mean, like, a lot of these people get like an inside track or whatever, and then once you get in the game, and then they fucking have blackmail on you, you can fucking ascend the ladder.
Right.
You know what I mean? As long as you're willing to toe the fucking party line.
And that is why I would be the perfect member for Congress, because you know what? I am a shit human being with a shit past, and everyone knows it. And there is not a goddamn piece of dirt you could dig up that no one knows already.
Yeah, right.
Sale,
He's the most honest, dishonest fucking.
Yeah, everyone would be like, well, what about this thing? And I'd be like, yeah, everybody fucking knows about that, dude. I did 2 months in county.
Which fucking box to check? Shit.
Right? Just check them all. Fuck it.
And Andrew's opponent would bring up something at a speech, and then like people in the crowd would cheer.
Right? Or he'd be like, "Oh, you think that's bad? Check this out."
I'd be. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, hey, what about this time that you like went to Vegas and I have video of you doing blow off a hooker's ass? And I'd be like, oh my god, can I get a copy of that? Can you send it? That is fucking awesome.
What's your take on this, Kevin?
I don't know. Obviously, against it, but I think it's just fucking ridiculous.
The thing is they don't want to live in the ghettos that they fucking created. That's my
pretty much.
You say the average cost of a studio in DC is $1,600.
Yeah.
Including places like fucking Suitland, also known as Shootland, because that's where people go to die. You know, like
good times.
DC is fucking full of ghettos.
Is that anywhere near
in the ghettos that they fucking created?
Hold on. Let me call. Let me call Hillary real quick and see if that's anywhere near Fort Marcy Park.
Right. I would assume, is it anywhere inside the DC, like in the Beltway?
What's that? Fort Marcy Park?
The substation. Like, could they live down here in King George where it's way cheaper?
Yeah, no.
Or do they have to be inside the city limits of DC to get this? Jason, is there anything about that in the?
Nope, there's nothing about that in the article.
Oh, well, that's a lot of wiggle room.
If you go into DC, you never see any fucking politicians walking around the city.
Nope.
Ever.
They have a network of catacombs underneath the city.
They do.
They drive carts through. I'm not even joking. I've been on them.
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is, where do they want to fucking put these places? And are they going to fucking network these catacombs to these places? And it's just, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, their objection is, oh, well, I have to sleep in my office. Well, dude, yeah, you should. If you're working hard enough,
exactly.
Stuff there, you should sleep in your office because that is what the average American fucking does.
Not to mention that you fucking asked for this. Not just asked for it, you fucking begged for it. You spent millions of dollars.
Yep.
Achieving
campaigning.
You fucking lied. You cheated. You stole. You bamboozled people to get there. Fucking appreciate it, motherfucker.
Right.
Yep. The bill has 23 co-sponsors, all Democrats.
What a surprise.
Gotta love it.
Yep. Representative Dan Donovan, a Republican out of New York, said, I'm here to work. Yeah, I'm here to work, not relive my college days in a taxpayer-funded dorm. He said he sleeps in his office every night to save money.
Yeah, well, I mean,
hey, it's cheaper to buy. It's cheaper to buy a good couch than to get an apartment.
Yeah, why don't you put a sleeper sofa in your office? Get a really nice memory foam mattress for it because those fold up.
Yep.
You know,
suck it up, Buttercup.
You could even get some Egyptian cotton shit to put on that bed.
Right, it'd be perfect for banging interns out on it.
If you want to get ahead in DC.
Yeah, exactly. Harvey Weinstein laugh.
That was a rapist joke.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, why can't they just Skype now? They're fucking, I mean, I bet they'd pay better attention if they had to.
I think can't they do like holographic like fucking like conferences?
Dude, you'd be surprised the kind of shit they have like that.
Yeah.
Help me, Obi-Wan McKay-Nobi. You're my only.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What was that? There was some fucking stupid old like college movie, Summer Jobs or something like that, where the professor was given a class, and each class, more and more people would just leave tape recorders on the desk to tape record the lecture.
Yep. And then one day, the one kid shows up, and the teacher's just a tape recorder.
Yeah, nice.
That was it. That was in Real Genius.
Yeah, and
yeah.
And look,
wasn't Val Kilmer in that?
Yeah,
Val Kilmer. The reality of it, though, the reality of DC, where like that basically is what it is based on voting records. Most of these people are just like they didn't even vote present, like they weren't even there.
They just mailed it in.
And I'll bet you money that they would make better use of their time if they had to Skype in and fight their kids for Wi-Fi bandwidth.
Oh, hell yeah. Little fucking shits.
Little bastards.
I'm just saying, they are. God,
it's not even Battlefield, it's COD, you fucking losers. Get off the bandwidth.
Every other Sunday for 2 hours, you guys do not play online games. You do not stream. You don't do shit. Because Mom has a podcast. It's the one time I want all the bandwidth. And you guys can just go play board games or something.
And it's like back to the Stone Age for him.
Yeah.
Right?
Get off the computer, I need to use the phone.
Little House on the Prairie sets in within the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, we have 5.
But Mom, I have dysentery.
Yeah, right? I need a pen pal now.
Derica's brother kept getting pissed off because her mom was like, "Hey, I don't know where I did with my phone. Can you go find it?"
Right? No. Okay, so here's what it was.
This is great.
My little brother's okay. My mom used to make him call her phone all the time because she always has a flip phone because she just doesn't like smartphones, and she would keep losing it. So he'd have to keep calling her phone, and he got so aggravated with her. He was like, "God, why doesn't somebody just invent a way to attach the phone to the wall?" So you
Yeah. We can take it back if you want.
Gosh,
we'll give you a fucking rotary
some
phone.
sort of a mechanism.
Right?
Yeah, if only somebody had thought of that sometime.
Fucking genius.
You know what they need? You know what, somebody has to invent some sort of wheel that you can put the numbers into so you don't accidentally butt dial anybody.
Welcome back to my
That's
grandmother's house, like circa 1985.
Like touch screens can they can freeze and stuff. There should be a physical way.
Yep.
To
some sort of buttons, like physical buttons, like on your keyboard.
Oh, I just had a thought. You know what? What if you had like an actual live person that you could just pick up the phone and tell them who you wanted to talk to?
There you go.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's almost like government.
We
need a middleman.
And what if, like, if I'm talking to someone on the phone and I get mad, there's no satisfaction at the end.
Slamming the phone down.
Yeah.
I hang up on them. Can we make phones bigger and heavier and sturdier so I can slam it against something when I...
See, I liked when you used to have to say, "Operator, please disconnect."
Right. Dude, you don't remember that. You're younger than the rest of us, Dan. Shut up.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
You remember? Yeah, I remember.
Yes, the member berries.
Really old rotary wall phones that handset weighed like 5 pounds.
Oh, you could bludgeon somebody to death with that shit.
Oh, my mom. I was like, well, Grandma, if you won't call them for me, never mind. Because that shit was fucking heavy, you know?
Yeah. And it had the cord that was like fucking 30 feet long and it was all fucking tangled up.
You know the best part about those cords is that people would be like it would get tangled up and then everyone would say the same thing. They'd be like, "Well, we can put a man on the moon, but we can't figure out how to untangle them."
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I still know how to untangle those and get them back into perfect condition.
You have a serious case of OCD, my friend. I don't have patience for that shit.
I remember my last wall-mounted phone, or the last corded phone that I had. It was like a 20-foot phone cable, and then with all the knots, it was like 4 feet long.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like you had to literally sit in the chair by the phone because you couldn't move around.
It's so fucking true. That's why everybody's laughing so hard.
Good night, guys.
It's like, yeah, I need like about a 4-foot cord. I'll get a 30-foot one.
Do you guys remember the way that you got around? Remember the silver like phone jack cord that went from the phone to the wall?
Uh-huh.
Right? And it wasn't coiled like the one that went from the receiver, like the handset.
Yeah, it was just like a straight line.
Yeah, it was an RJ46.
Longest one. I think we had one at one point that was like 50 fucking feet long. So that we didn't have to untangle the phone cord. We would just put it on this.
Oh my God. No.
Okay,
so you have to, so my grandmother and my aunt, because my grandpa died back in February, so it's just my grandmother and my aunt in that house now. They were planning on going to just like a voice over IP phone, which objectively is hysterical. Oh my God.
How long ago was this?
But they just now had to go from a rotary phone to an actual like push button phone. And I had to explain to them that the new phone that they had purchased had caller ID on it. So they didn't need the separate caller ID thing. Right, and had the voicemail built in, so they didn't need the voicemail thing with the little tape.
Oh my God.
need to answer.
You know what? You know what though? We make fun, but like our generation, and like specifically kids that were born between like 1975 and 1985, we're the ones who remember all the old shit, but we were still young enough to adapt to the new technology. So we're like the merger generation here between
the missing link.
Yeah, we are the missing link between the old ways and the new ways. Because millennials, they don't fucking know anything about any of this.
Hey, I'm a millennial. I was born in 86. I am technically a millennial.
Are you that young?
Yeah.
You seem
millennials.
Like you seem like such a fogey sometimes. Andrew.
I know. Well, gee, thanks. I feel better.
No, it's weird. I thought you were my age. I mean, I'm not that much older than you. I was born in 80, but you know, I thought you were a little bit older.
No, well, part of it is just, you know, my growing up. I grew up with a lot of really old technology and things, but like Reuters and a few other places that do like all the surveys and stuff, they've said that the millennial generation for them is 1985 to like 1998.
Okay.
Is like what they consider millennials.
I saw somebody today or in a video that I think I reposted that said like that it was like 84, and you know that, but it, yeah. I've had people try to call me a millennial, and I was born in 1980, and I'm like, fuck you.
Don't group me in with them.
I am not a millennial. You shut your fucking mouth.
No, it's Generation Z, because we're Generation Y. Like, I'm Generation Y, both the letter and the question, because, you know, we're the generation we're the generation of like a whole bunch of horrible shit. Right. We're that generation. So like Generation Z, which is still technically considered millennial, which is like 99 to, I don't even, like, what, 2002 or something, I think, is supposed to be like millennial generation.
Oh my God, you're the same generation as my son. He was born in 2002.
Don't insult me.
Yeah, mine were born in 2000.
Right. Jason, we're Gen Xers, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
you guys are Gen X. You're the same generation as my mom. How about that?
The best generation.
The best generation, yeah.
Yeah.
Same generation as my fucking mom. All right.
Go to your room.
Well, when is Gen X?
18 years older than me, almost exactly.
Dude, my
mom. When is Gen X though? Like what years?
Like 75 to 85 or something like that.
All right, so then I'm Gen X.
Yeah. Dude,
I'm the one fucking millennial surrounded by Gen X.
Why? When were you born?
86.
When's your birth? Or when?
Andrew was 86.
Oh, 86?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Okay. So he's like right on the cusp then. It's not like...
Dude, Andrew, my parents are baby boomers.
Boomers.
Yeah. My parents are boomers.
I actually feel worse for you. Your parents' generation destroyed the world.
No, dude, I lived a really cushy childhood thanks to that. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, my mom was still in high school when she got pregnant with me, and my dad was a foreign exchange student, so
okay, biologically, my story's not that different because I am adopted.
Oh, like, her mom's a piece of work.
My biological mom is a fucking psycho. She's insane. I met her when I was 19. Then I didn't talk to her for 17 years. And then I tried talking to her again, and she told me that I should be thanking her, or that she never got a thank you for not aborting me. And now I don't talk to her anymore again.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
well, I mean, objectively, I guess. Thanks, Mom, for not murdering me.
Right. Fuck, right. Dude.
But yeah, my biological dad was from Spain, like fresh off the fucking boat. I haven't been able to find him yet, so.
You're Spanish?
Yeah.
You fucking spick.
Maybe
I'm just kidding.
Wait, is he Spanish or Catalonian? Is he Spanish or Catalonian?
Spanish people, Dan. God damn, European Spanish.
Well, it's fine because I'm probably like deep down my like descendant line. I'm probably like one of the Moors or some shit because I'm part Sicilian.
Right? Yeah, I don't fucking know. And then like on my biological mom's side, she had ancestors on the fucking Mayflower. You know what I mean? Like from Britain. So it's Irish and Scottish and English and shit on her side.
Irish, Scottish, and their oppressors. Congratulations. That's
well, there's all that rape. I mean, how could you not have entwined bloodlines?
no, that's no, it's so great because we weren't human, right? We Irish weren't human, so.
Right. Yeah.
I there was a bounty on my people.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't have been scalping the fucking settlers, Jason.
Yeah, Jesus, come on.
God damn.
Hey,
wasn't that whole Trail of Tears enough? I mean,
hey, if it makes you feel any better, Jason, if it makes you feel any better, I have discovered recently that apparently I have a decent amount of Cherokee blood, which is one of those, who knew? Because it's one of those dirty little family secrets.
Yeah, you have as much Cherokee blood as Elizabeth Warren does.
No, that's a low blow.
No, so here's the story, and this was one of those things where, like, I just happened to mention my daughter, my oldest daughter, with my first wife. My first wife was actually so Cherokee, she was actually a member of the tribe, right? She could actually get the stuff from the tribe, blah, blah, blah. But I happened to mention this to my own grandmother, and she goes, well, you know, you're kind of Cherokee, actually. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, so my dad's dad was not my father's
was not his mother's husband.
So the story goes that not my great grandparents, but one generation back, my great great grandmother was really good friends with some Cherokee woman in Kansas, Oklahoma, and one fall decided that she wanted to go see her friend and left. And then they all got snowed in for the winter early. And when she came back in spring, she may potentially have had a baby with her. Right. And everyone was like, so we're going to go ahead and marry you off and pretend that this literally never happened.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, that's why you didn't know, because they didn't fucking talk about that back then.
Yeah, they just kind of let that go.
Taboo.
But everybody's like kept it a secret, and then my grandmother reveals this to me, that this is like this dirty family secret, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Why has no one talked about this?
Yeah, didn't you know how much fucking federal money I could have gotten? God damn, what's wrong with you?
What the fuck? Yeah, well, it isn't even but it isn't even that. It's like, this is like a huge thing. Like, no one and that's the contrast to a lot of Southern families that are, I'm descended from some bullshit Cherokee princess, even though the Cherokee didn't have any kind of royalty or anything else. But that's that contrast. All of those people want to celebrate it, whereas my family's like, let's not talk about this to like anyone ever for 100 years. Let's not actually mention this.
You know what's funny is I wanted to talk about identity politics later in the show, and here we are talking about like all these things from like our lineage, the past of our bloodline that don't mean shit about who we are.
Nope.
And you know, how decent a person we are, how successful we'll be in life, or any of this. But it's something people like to talk about. You know, honestly, for me, I could give a fuck about my biological heritage. I really could. I don't give a fuck. It's the family that you make in this life, the family that you live with, you know, the people that you have bonds with. That's family.
Fam.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and my family that I was adopted by. I mean, I was 8 hours old when the adoption attorney took me to their front door. You know what I mean? Like, I've never known.
Yeah, that's
family. So, yeah, none of this bloodline stuff means squat in the big picture. It doesn't mean shit. It's a matter of interest if you're into genealogy and shit. But why the fuck are you gonna fucking be angry about it? That's what I don't get. Like, why people get so fucking angry about it. Holy shit, it's something you didn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's something that you came into, that you fell into, right? It wasn't a choice. It wasn't something you choose to do. It wasn't something your parents chose to do. It wasn't something their parents chose to do, right?
Yeah.
Your skin color is just genetic.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything else.
It's just like being born with a dick or a pussy. I mean, it's just how you were fucking born. And if that is the only identity you have in this life, then you're fucking pathetic, and I feel sorry for you.
Well, and to that effect too, it's also, I mean, like, and actually, Lindsay and I were just having this conversation the other night about, like, I have a lot of friends who are gay. It doesn't bother me. I'm super straight, and yeah, I'm definitely straight. But I have friends who are gay, and like,
what was that meme that says it's okay to be gay, just don't be a fag about it? I love that.
Right, exactly. Oh my god. So one of my best friends in the world, my buddy Don, he is as gay as the day is long, Jesus. Right. But
he's queer as a $3 bill. That's what
exactly. And if he was watching, I don't think he's watching this, but if he was, he would be laughing his ass off.
I'm sure. Gotta have a good sense of humor about shit.
Hell yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, he's also a neocon, which I'm working on. But
he's kind of a Milo, right? Or Milo.
Well, yeah. I mean, actually, yeah. Like he really likes Milo, but his whole thing is that, like, I'm a guy and I have these beliefs and I have this set of political beliefs and everything, and I also happen to like other guys.
Right.
I can deal with that all day without any problem.
I don't give a fuck what gets your dick hard.
Right.
That's your business, not mine.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. What I despise, what drives me insane, is like at these Pride Fests and everything else. You have all of these people who, like, they're so vapid that their only identifying characteristic is who they are sexually attracted.
Right.
Imagine if you flip that to straight people and they're like, I love pussy. Yeah, we're gonna have a pussy fest and a pussy.
Straight people don't talk about sex anywhere near.
That's what I was arguing. I was like talking to a gay guy on Twitter about that, and
they like substitute it for a personality.
Yeah, well, no, I was like, I have no problem with gay people. I was like, I know gay people. I fucking associate with them. I have no problem with them. You know what I mean? Whatever.
And I'm
just
not
don't
I've
like
never
keep your
behaved a little bit like they do. I'm just saying.
You know I'm straight, so is spaghetti until it gets wet.
Right? That's a good meme too.
Oh,
but check it out. Right, like Andrew was saying, like, you know, you don't see fucking like hetero pride parades.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, just keep your business to yourself. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful by saying that. I'm just saying, like, be fucking discreet. You know, like everybody fucking else.
And it's not even, to me, it's not even about being discreet. Like, you don't have to sneak around or anything. How about you don't?
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, just like keep it to yourself.
How about you don't set off fireworks and draw attention to it every fucking minute, though?
Well,
because
that's what I mean.
right, exactly. I'd honestly rather know. I'd rather know, like, what are your hobbies? Do you like to read?
Exactly.
I like to read.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Like,
look at
character, not who you're fucking banging in the ass.
Yeah.
Look at how much of a caricature, right, that Austin Powers is with all of his male symbol necklaces.
Hypersexuality. Yeah.
His hypersexual. He's such a caricature and everybody laughs.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at that, if you change all of that to rainbow and gay pride stuff,
people don't laugh because it's just so fucking commonplace.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
you're a bigot if you say that.
It's like, no, that's still absurd. You're such a vapid, uninteresting human being that you have to completely define yourself by the thing that makes you sexually turned on.
And how come the only time I hear from you or see you is when you're talking about taking dicks up your ass? Like, is there nothing else that you have to talk about? For real? Is there nothing else like of note? Is there nothing else noteworthy about your life?
I was always brought up that there's three things you don't talk about: what happens in the bedroom, what happens in the bathroom, what's happening with your bank account. That's nobody's business.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
I don't talk about what who
unless you're in meme court, then it's
and all that good stuff. Like I don't talk about that because it's nobody else's business, and that's the way it should be with everybody else.
Yeah.
Nobody cares who you're banging.
Yeah.
Right? I love gay guys. I love gay guys because it takes one guy. It takes one guy out of the gene pool or not gene pool. Take one guy out of the pool.
Only one though. Only one.
It takes one guy out of the pool.
It takes a lot of the good-looking ones out of the dating pool.
It takes one competition out, but then it brings another guy with him. So realistically, a gay guy brings two guys out of the competition pool.
Right. All right, now let me propose an idea here.
And you know what? I love gay guys because they'll appreciate and squeal over my Louis Vuitton weekend duffel bag like I do.
You are my soulmate right now. I'm just saying.
What's that?
You are my soulmate. I love
you. Hey, look, I'm not saying. Look, I have used the term fag hag for myself before on occasion. Because gay guys are so much fucking fun to hang out with for girls. I'm not joking. They're so much fun to hang out with. Seriously, I love gay dudes. I do. Lesbians, on the other hand, they're a little bit fucking difficult to hear.
Well, I mean, which is funny because that's one of those things. Like, I have so many guys who are like that I've been friends with for a really long time and everything else, where they're like, well, how can you just like hang out with all the, like, I've been to Pride Fest and stuff. And they're like, how can you just hang out with all these gay? And I'm like, first of all, the gay people that I hang out with don't define themselves by their sexuality, so that doesn't bug me. And second of all, like, I don't define anyone else by their sexuality either. Like, they are either they're cool shit or they're not. I don't really give a fuck.
Right. Yeah. Like within 10 minutes
I will move on.
Right. Like within 10 minutes of meeting you, I don't feel the need to drop hints that I like dick and I'm heterosexual. I don't feel like you need to do that.
No, it's.
Well, you're also not a vegan.
Or into CrossFit, also important.
It's all about who a person is and not what a person is.
And I don't do paleo. That's my thing. I don't do paleo either.
Yeah, nope.
Yeah. If you're a flat Earth believing vegan,
oh my God,
then chances are
who does CrossFit?
If you're a flat Earth vegan that does CrossFit, chances are you're also an incel. Just saying.
Not just
very possible,
but a gay incel.
All right, so I was gonna propose this hypothesis thesis here. All right, now, what if there's a possibility that there's so many gay people because it's almost a self-regulating system for the population?
I've wondered that before myself. Like if it's a like purposely like a genetic dead end that's built into the human race when the population starts outgrowing
like lemmings.
Yeah.
I wondered that
either that or it's the chemicals in the water turning the frogs gay.
The chemtrails.
Goddamn gay frogs! Where's my tinfoil?
No, but for real, look up atrazine.
Yeah. Well, I've thought that myself too.
Yeah,
so you know, you're not nuts.
Well, and I just think it's interesting. It's interesting because we were talking about identity politics and this whole idea that you have to be completely identified, like, effectively by arguably a bunch of inconsequential traits.
By who you fuck, what shape your genitals are, what you fucking eat. Like, seriously?
Well, step back and...
None of that fucking matters to me. That's all shit that I should not even have to know about. about
Well,
you.
look at this whole like identity politics is like from an objective standpoint, from the the elite's perspective. It's the perfect tool for divide and conquer because it groups everybody into fucking identity groups, and then they fucking pit them against each other.
Yeah, and they're the most
men versus women, gay versus straight, Christian versus Muslim, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
And if we're gonna be honest, my biggest problem with identity politics isn't the identity part, even though I can wax eloquent on that all fucking night. But my biggest problem isn't the identity part, it's the fucking politics part. If you want to talk about what gender of person you prefer to fuck and you want to make it into a political movement and you want to go fucking petition the state to aggress against me and everyone else because you like taking dicks in the ass, fuck you.
Yeah,
fuck
word.
You.
It doesn't matter. It has
or if
what a person chooses to be. Even let's eliminate the word choose. What a person is. What a person is. If they're gay, if they're lesbian, if they're an attack helicopter like Andrew, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing on the next person. What the first person is, and that can carry over into race, into religions, to politics, etc. It has transgenderism. It doesn't matter if you want to self-identify as a Harley Davidson and only fuck Priuses. So be it. So be it. Just don't use that as justification to try and oppress other people.
Yeah, just don't hurt anybody.
Right,
and by hurt people, we also include not just pedophilia, not just rape, shit like that. Hurt people also includes sicking the state on people that you think should be forced into accepting you.
Right. Bake the fucking cake, motherfucker.
Right.
Oh, let me ask you this, because I was gonna post this on Twitter earlier and I forgot to fucking do it, and like it was a really good question. Like, would a fucking gay bakery bake a fucking straight pride fucking cake?
Would they bake a Muslim? Would they bake a Muslim cake?
Yeah. Oh, of course they would, because they fucking kiss the Muslim ass, because it's like, oh, well, that's a left.
Which is weird because the Muslims hang
considering what happens in Muslim countries with
no, they don't get tossed off rooftops or anything. I mean,
it's not like women today or women this past week in Saudi Arabia celebrated the right to drive for the first time in history.
Yeah.
Like that totally didn't happen this week. Look it up.
And you know that only happened because the guys were sick and tired of getting their own groceries. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And this is how stupid.
Ubers get expensive, man.
Yeah, if you're gonna go with misogyny, go with Western misogyny. It's the best.
It's more convenient for the men. We're just telling you. It's a
but women can only drive like 78.2% of the speed limit in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
So,
but
that's right.
That might be
fucking better off. You ever seen women drive? Fuck.
What? Excuse me, Dan? What?
I said that might be for the best, and Lindsay smacked me, so.
And I just backed you up on that, too.
You know what? I'm a better driver than Kevin is. You can fucking ask him. I'm a very good driver.
Well, I'm a better driver than you, so there's that.
No, you're not.
I've been to like
6
extreme driving schools. So
you want to race?
All of you.
You want to race? No, I'm.
Look at fucking Dale Earnhardt over here.
I'm not going to race you.
Hey,
Dale Earnhardt hit a wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, now with Trump in office, don't you compare me to Dale Earnhardt.
Yeah, I know, right? The irony.
No, see, I'm not going to race you. That's how I know that I'm a better driver. Because
okay, you're gonna play that shit. You're gonna play the safe card.
And Fam Island is gonna have a court of honor.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we got to.
Jeez.
Where else are we gonna land the fucking plane to bring the drugs in?
No kidding.
Exactly.
Okay,
we'll just have
I've never heard anything about drugs ever in my life. I don't even know what drugs are. What are those? I don't.
That's Dan. That's Dan. Memscabar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Memscabar.
No, I lost all my memories of drugs in a tragic boating accident.
Well, I'll just say, yeah, right.
The same place I lost my guns. It was horrible.
Exactly.
Humanity.
I'll just say that, like,
it's the same place Europeans are losing their memes.
I'll just say it's
and
like
all the European memes.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dan's trying to say something.
No, I was gonna say it's a plane full of printed out memes because there's no internet connection on the island.
Dude, I'll fucking snort those. I'll snort them. I will. I'll do it.
It's like a break of printer paper wrapped in.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's gonna be the currency on fucking Amsterdam Island, dude.
Hell yeah, motherfucker! Hell yeah,
that's our economy.
That's our fiat currency, bitches.
Can't
6 pays, motherfuker.
Dude, like the fucking rare Pepes are like fucking like $1 million note.
Memes are actually worth something. No, isn't that like $1 million bolivar or whatever?
You can't snort memes through Bitcoin.
Sorry, $1 million bolivar.
This is true.
He can't snort memes through Bitcoin.
We need Bitstraw.
Is there anybody? Side note, is there anybody who's printing like ecstasy pills with Pepe or anything on it yet? Because that seems like an oversight on someone's part.
You just gave me a fucking lucrative business idea, pal.
Capitalism for the win. Big straws.
Agris just fuck.
Yeah, right. Snorting Pepe ecstasy through fucking Bitstraw.
Especially with California wanting to ban restaurant straws, ban plastic straws.
Oh my god.
A good one.
Holy fuck.
Oh my god.
Congress wants to give Jeff Sessions unprecedented new drug war powers.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him.
You would not say that. I'm looking at a picture of Dianne Feinstein. Please don't say that F word.
Oh my god, can you imagine the two of them together doing it?
No!
That had the worst effect than being in a pool for 8 hours. What's wrong with you?
Like under a couple of newspapers on a park bench.
No.
Empty bitch straws laying around.
Holy shit, I'm losing.
It was important. I'm told.
Speedballing with bit syringe.
There's a Pepe booger and Sessions nose there.
Just doing lines of anarcho ball right there.
Dianne Feinstein curled up with a Biden meme.
Oh my god.
We're going to fucking heaven for this shit.
Ourselves. God's like, well, I did have a plan. You guys know? Aha, you guys. Right there.
He said we're going to heaven.
I had to flip it on its head, you know what I mean? We're talking about scumbags.
I feel like my memes have all gotten dark enough lately that going, whoa, man. Whoa.
I had this one, I posted this one. I posted this one earlier on Twitter, and it was a white guy and a black guy, and they built a time machine, and he asked the black guy if he wanted to go back in time, and he was like, nah, I'm good. I was like, yeah, that's subtle but fucked up.
Well, I mean, is there really any good option for him if he goes back in time?
Hey, we was kings.
Yeah, kings that got eaten by fucking lions. But yeah, okay.
You guys see the new Biden meme?
No. The Space Force one?
The Space Force one?
Yeah,
dude. Oh my god.
I left that Space Force meme or that Space Force instructions in the desk. No, Joe, no one's gonna buy that.
Nobody could be that stupid. Yeah. And Joe says, "Just wait and see."
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Well, Trump misdirected that poor lost child.
Well, I mean, you guys saw fucking Mars Attacks, right?
You guys, I'm fucking sweating. I'm laughing so it's like 30 degrees in my basement. And I'm sweating. I'm laughing so hard.
Right. Gotcha.
All right, so Congress wants to give Jeff Sessions unprecedented new drug war powers.
Yeah.
We think the Department of Justice has more than enough tools to wage the war on drugs. A bill passed by the House could create a fast-track scheduling system that could lead to criminalization of kratom, nootropics, and pretty much anything that gives you a buzz and isn't already illegal. The House of Representatives voted on Friday to create a new schedule of banned drugs under the Controlled Substances Act called, quote, Schedule A, and to give Attorney General Jeff Sessions broad new powers to criminalize the manufacturing, importation, and sales of substances that are currently unregulated but not illegal.
They never learn that prohibition doesn't work. It's like a bunch of retards trying to help a doorknob, to quote my favorite movie. Like, they never
The bill is headed to the Senate, where co-sponsors Dianne Feinstein, Democrat out of California,
were we just talking about her?
and Chuck Grassley, Republican out of Iowa, will likely have little problem whipping up votes.
Chuck Grassley? What? Or Grassley? Because Grassley.
Yeah, Grassley.
Yeah.
The Stop the Importation and Trafficking Synthetic Analogs Act, or SITSA, is intended to crack down on drugs that closely resemble currently banned or regulated substances in either their chemical structure or intended effects. SITSA would also empower the Attorney General to add drugs to this new schedule with few checks from the branches of government.
Are you fucking kidding? They closely resemble... Have these people literally never been in a chemistry class in their entire fucking lives?
Probably not. And they've watched Reefer Madness too many times. Like, when is Jeff Sessions going to realize that he is a complete fucking anachronism? Like, he's a relic from another time.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't belong in this century.
I'm pretty sure that
Jeff Sessions, a draconian mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jeff Sessions is the man that was like, the other two? Well, the other two were female. And I wouldn't be the leader. So marijuana cigarettes.
Oh, my God.
The Drug Enforcement Administration has long bemoaned the fact that clandestine chemists can create these novel drugs faster than D.C. can ban them. The scheduling process is complicated, as it should be when the government makes things illegal.
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't exist to begin with.
The DEA has to identify the analog's chemical structure and the scheduled or regulated drugs to which it is most similar, then seek input from the experts at the Department of Health and Human Services, then publish a scheduling notice in the Federal Registry and review public comments.
They're experts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're experts. No, I'll tell you what. The fucking
dude
sleeping on the park bench down at the corner, he's a fucking expert on this.
Hold on. You're gonna love Sessions for the second half.
Oh my God.
Prosecuting drugs that have not gone through this process of analysis and scheduling, meanwhile, requires overcoming what Sessions recently called, quote, cumbersome evidentiary hurdles.
Oh, you mean like you have to prove it? Holy shit.
As chemistry experts who have challenged the government's claims and defendants who say they believe they're importing or selling potpourri and bath salts. These hurdles are currently known as due process.
Yeah, you think?
Oh my God, that due process is totally in my way, man.
Why can't I just do whatever the fuck I want and make shit up? Like, goddamn, don't people know it's for their own good to let me just make shit up? What the fuck is wrong with these assholes?
This reminds me of that Obama quote that all of those conservatives ridiculed, which was the founding fathers put a system in place that made things a little difficult for me to do what I want.
You think that was kind of the point, you fucking douche knuckle?
And all of the conservatives said at the time, because it was about guns, oh, well, gee, you think maybe that was intentional? To which I say to them now, do you think maybe that was fucking intentional?
About drugs, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's a good line to use when it favors your fucking argument, but, you know.
Right, of course. They're all like that.
Those damn founding fathers and their wily safeguards for civil liberties.
Yeah, forget about George Washington and the Whiskey Rebellion, though, right?
Right, yep. No shit.
And let's totally ignore the fact that the founding fathers like legit grew and used hemp industrially.
Yeah, because it was a moneymaker.
Yep.
Well, not only that, but it was used for like sailing rope and like all kinds of shit.
Let's also forget the fact when you're using it, in your favor, let's also forget the fact that they were human, they were hypocrites, and they didn't even fucking live their own rhetoric. I mean,
all men are created equal except for that black guy over there.
And women aren't allowed to vote.
That's what I say about feminism. The line from fucking Animal Farm, like feminism because all animals are equal, but the pigs are more equal.
But check this out, right? Like, I mean, if you're really gonna think about it, wouldn't you think that it would be more appropriate for like, I mean, not saying that I agree with voting whatsoever, but wouldn't you think that it would be more appropriate for people that own property to vote because they have an actual vested interest, whereas the people that don't own property actually are going to fucking vote themselves socialism out of the fucking community pot?
Yeah, but then they say that then they have no voice and they can be, like. I don't know, like
marginalized. No, I hear you, but that's why I say don't have a vote at all. But
exactly, let's just not fucking do this government.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, because it always ends up fucking bad because everybody always votes for their own interests, and then everybody gets fucked in the long run.
Which was the entire point of the fucking Constitution, was to acknowledge that everyone would vote for their own interests and say, hey, maybe this is a bad idea, and maybe we should say, hey, that. Yeah, you are probably going to vote for your own interests, but we're going to put some limits on how much damage you can do. Yeah. And what Jeff Sessions is literally, not even figuratively, literally saying is, God, those constitutional limitations on things are just too cumbersome, and let's just circumvent the Constitution now because safetyness.
Well, why even put on the fucking dog and pony show anymore? I mean, they don't fucking follow that shit. I mean, it's not they haven't for fucking hundreds of years, or probably since like the fucking Civil War.
Because they built it's because they built over 200 years of rhetoric around it, and that rhetoric is how they control the unwashed masses that they need to fucking steal from to continue their own existence, to continue justifying their own existence. So if they're going to keep controlling the masses of people,
they're putting what they're doing is they're putting patches on the curtain.
Right. They have to play lip service.
Yeah, but didn't Marbury versus Madison, that court case established that it was?
Oh, they don't give a fuck about the law.
Yeah,
well, no, I understand that, but I'm saying it established that any rule or any law made outside the Constitution was illegitimate.
Right. Well,
yeah, that was literally the very first ever court case heard by the Supreme Court was Marbury.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
that was where
that's
actually where they established how dangerous they were, because they established immediately with that case, their very first ever one, that, oh, well, we get to decide whether that law is actually a law or not.
Right.
So essentially, they've been operating under color of law and not the actual.
Yeah.
Well, you hear them now. Okay,
challenge for you, Dan. Go out on the streets there in New York, where you live, New York State, and try to find one. I'm not even going to challenge you to find 3. Try to find one fucking person that knows about that.
Yeah.
One person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the courts operate under fucking maritime admiralty law. That's why there's the gold fringe around the fucking flag, and people don't even understand that.
I know. I challenge you to find one person that knows about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can't be anybody you know. You sneaky fuck. It can't be anybody you already know.
I doubt there's anybody.
The anarchists all know each other.
I honestly do. I don't even know if any of the people that I know where I live fucking know that.
Right. True. But I mean, I kind of have a feeling that anybody who's come in contact with you has actually heard these words at some point or another.
Yeah. Some people I just don't get that in depth with because I know that they can't handle it. You know what I mean? So I just kind of limit it. I mean, if they're willing to go that route, but
my general anarchist kind of like pushing anarchism at work is just kind of me grumbling and saying, yeah, well, it's the government, so of course they're evil occasionally.
Right.
And
Right.
that's kind of about it. Like,
yeah. My anarchist interaction is this.
Right. You feel like you're going around. Yeah.
No, it's what we're doing. That's it. It's what we're doing right. It's the roundtable, and it's on social media. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, see, I
do podcasts.
I try to engage people in conversation and don't even bring up anarchy. I just like, talk about, like, I always approach them about taxation. And I'm like, well, why do you need a middleman to mismanage your money when you could just pay a fucking company directly that has a personal responsibility to stay in business and has like a personal responsibility to their customer base?
Right.
Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense because the government's just going to outsource to a private company anyway.
Right. Wouldn't you pay for a subscription to the roads?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And everybody always says, like, I don't bring up anarchy or anything, and they always agree to that because it's like a logical, argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Like, oh yeah, I'd totally rather do that.
Yeah, I do it all the time, man. Where I'll just say something that's like I lead people down that logical path to anarchy because I am very firmly of the belief that anarchy is the logical conclusion of people thought, and so I'll just lead them down that path. But every single time they get to that point where they're almost there, and then they're like, "Who would build the road?"
Yeah.
That's when you bring up dominoes.
Right.
30 minutes or less. 30 minutes or less.
Dominoes and start Nola and.
You can have like a Domino's app and just like fucking tell them the location of the pothole will be there in 30 minutes or less to fill it.
Right.
That's what you need to do. You need to get pizza delivered to a pothole.
Yeah.
So you can show them so you can show the pothole.
You break
it's larger than a medium.
Break your suspension on your car, and while you're waiting for the tow truck, they show up with a snack, a soda, and they fix the fucking pothole.
Right. Hell yeah.
That's pecan Capistan right there.
That's the future I want to live in, you guys.
That is. Yeah, that would be fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
Efficiency at a low cost.
It would only be better if they brought me like, a gram of weed and a fucking White Russian.
Well, I had proposed
like
that, like,
a growler of fucking White Russian.
Hell yeah, motherfucker. Look, this is what's left of my White Russian from tonight. I'm out, so I need Domino's to bring me another one.
Fucking A. See, I had proposed since like this whole Space Force thing came about, the whole fucking idea.
Oh Jesus!
I was like laughing about
memes.
it, and I
can we talk about the memes from Space Force for a minute when you're not dead?
So I post on Twitter and I'm like, since the government decided to create a Space Force, I was like, I think it's only right that we fucking crowdfund a fucking ANCAP fucking Space Force trademark with the trademark sign. Right.
Right.
I was like, that way we can fucking fight the reptilians from the Draco star system at a much lower cost and way more efficiently.
we can fight the Aqua people from Alpha Centauri 3.
That's right, dude.
There you go.
How friggin' hilarious would that be if like Elon Musk was just like, yeah, I heard about your Space Force and that's cool and all, but so I just already built a base on the moon.
Right.
He does have SpaceX and flamethrowers.
And
exactly.
Well,
I've
if there is a Space Force
first contact with intelligent life.
Yeah, he makes first contact and they're just like, oh no, dude, you're totally reasonable.
Well, if there is an ANCAP Space Force,
and they're like, you guys are all dicks. Why the fuck would I do business?
Yo, if there is an ANCAP Space Force, all I gotta say is that I'm fucking signing up for the position of space shuttle door gunner.
You're the rear end.
Hey, I have dibs. I've been waiting for that for a while.
We can drop commies from fucking lower Earth orbit.
I don't know why
I'm red.
You guys, I'm telling you, I don't know why anybody thinks that any other intelligent life in this universe would want anything to do with us. Seriously.
They don't.
Can you imagine if they're okay? Like, put it this. Can you imagine if there really is aliens out there in our solar system and they make contact with us and take us to your leader and it's Donald fucking Trump?
Well, no, actually, it'd be Lord Rothschild.
Joe, imagine it's Trudeau, man, and they're like, "Have you brought me to a man or a woman?" I don't know.
Hopefully, they're catching the Anarchy Among Friends roundtable discussion on the, on the communications.
They're like, there is hope for humanity.
Hell yeah,
Some of you get it. All right.
If we're the hope for humanity, we're all fucked.
Right.
I hope they love memes.
Yeah, right.
I love that meme that shows the spaceship and it says, "What planet is that we're passing, Dad?" And then it says the dad says Earth, and then it says door locking sounds at the bottom.
Like we're the ghetto of the universe.
Yeah.
There's a sign as you enter Earth's orbit that says Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
It's like fucking like don't catch Earthlings like we're herpes and shit.
We used to probe them, and then we figured out very quickly why that was a bad idea.
Oh my god!
We're the gift that keeps on reproducing.
Yes.
They brought us back to their home planet, and they were like, "Dude. Oh god, they're like the most obnoxious. Like we are the alien equivalent of parrots." As a fact.
Yeah, you don't even want us as pets. I fucking promise you. We stink. We complain all the time. And
we kill each other en masse.
We are never happy with what we have.
You ever wonder if the reason that aliens haven't made contact with us is because they took somebody before, but they were really into BDSM and they enjoyed the anal probing?
Yeah, right. They're like, "Yo, this dude is fucking crazy."
Have you seen
that sketch from Kids? What was it, like Kids in the Neighborhood or Neighbor? I don't remember what that. It was that Canadian comedy troupe back years ago that had a TV show.
What, Kids in the Hall?
Kids in the Hall. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Where they're like the aliens, and they're like, guys, we've been coming here for 50 years, Earth years, and the only thing that we figured out from all of our probing is that something like 16% of them don't even actually mind it. So.
Oh my god, that's fucked up.
And then they immediately show this dude on this table, and they hold up the probe, and he lifts his legs up and smiles.
Oh my god, that show was crazy, dude.
Oh,
that was the only sketch I liked as much as the Jehovah's Witness one. That was.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's the bright colored flags that are attracting attention.
Right.
That's why they take them.
Oh, God.
If you think about it, they've got to look at us and be like, yeah, they're these weird primitive tribal species that seem to kill each other over arbitrarily defined locations and things.
Right. Like these apes that have totally unjustified high opinions of themselves. What the fuck is up with that?
Right.
I mean, imagine hypothetically if apes, right? Like you had marmosets and things that were, or chimps even, and gorillas that would set up these areas that they decided were theirs, and then they would slaughter opposing troops of them.
Well, but they kind of do that.
Slaughter them.
Gorillas totally do that, though.
Right. And imagine that we didn't do anything like that, that we had gotten to this point where we didn't do that, and how primitive we would think that was, where we're like, are you serious? It's just a chunk of land with resources.
Right.
What?
How far can we really say that we've evolved?
None.
Not too far.
Not very far.
Not very far at all.
No.
1 foot on the moon, 1 foot in the caves.
Hey, you know what? We've invented Brazilian waxing, and that is about as far as we've gone. That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I will give credit to that.
Right. Right.
You know what separates us from the animals? We got Brazilian waxing and hentai. That's what.
And alcohol. We have alcohol.
And
we have hairless vaginas.
Not just alcohol, because chimps actually will seek out fermented fruit in the jungle and eat it.
That's true.
So we have beer. That's what we have, right?
So we can't even claim that we have cocaine because they chew on those leaves and shit.
What are you talking?
And dolphins will chew on pufferfish to get high.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're not alone in the animal kingdom.
Dolphins will not only suck on the pufferfish to get high, but then pass it to other dolphins. They will pufferfish pass.
Nice.
Oh my god!
Nice.
Holy shit!
Keep the cipher going.
Holy shit! To the left, motherfucker! To the left. Where are
Yeah,
you?
right.
Yeah, that's what. Keep your circle small. That way the joint gets back to you faster.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And always to the left. Do
dolphins.
Hey, Andrew, do millennials know that you always pass to the left?
You know what? I always pass to the left. I just always assumed it's because I'm left-handed.
No. You always pass to the left. It's joint etiquette. You
It
always
is
pass
etiquette.
to the left.
Yep, always to the left.
Right.
Always refer to the handbook.
Yeah.
All right, so
book,
for future reference, always the same way my dick hangs. Got
it. Great. Thanks. I totally needed to know that, Andrew. I was wondering.
And now that's in your head. It's in your head, viewers. Enjoy.
Wait for the awkward silence.
Don't make me unwrap. Don't make me unwrap my finger and
give
the people a real
shot.
I can do it.
It's like a maimed. It's like a maimed penis.
It is.
It's disgusting. Yeah. The scab. I swear to God, the scab looks like tree bark. Like she was fingering Groot, and it got a splinter, and it's just.
This is my masturbation finger. I'm just saying.
Well, and I'm gonna point out, Jason was like, "Oh, I'll give you however many Venezuelan bolivars for that." And I will stand by my response.
He offered you 500 Venezuelan bolivars to lick my fucking finger wound,
which is like $3 US.
Andrew on Facebook. No. Jason offered Andrew on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
He offered him 500 bolivars to lick my fucking
and
your quarterized.
My response was, if you knew my ex-wives, you would know I've put my mouth on far worse things than that.
Yeah.
Yo.
And then he was like, and anyways, $3 isn't worth it.
Hey, $3 is $3, bro.
I'll up it to $3.50.
That's from the Call a Crackhead campaign, isn't it?
That's fucking it is. Dude, somebody said something.
$20.
Somebody joked around about call a crackhead because I made a post about calling a crackhead instead of a cop, and then fucking they made a comment about call a crackhead something, and then a fucking.
I made a meme out of that, dude. I fucking took a screenshot of that on Twitter and I made a meme out of it and I put it on Facebook. The crackhead, somebody has a Twitter account called A Crackhead. And the guy was like, I'll do it, $20 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll find the car $6 or something like that.
Well, yeah, no, it was because he was saying he could get a VCR or some shit for $6.
Well, the guy was saying what happens. He was saying what happens if someone steals your car? Why don't you call a crackhead instead of the cops? And the Call a Crackhead Twitter account.
Yeah, exactly.
Said, I'll find the car $6.
Yeah, he popped on my fucking tweet too.
Are you kidding?
Was that a different post, like a different conversation on Twitter?
Yeah, it had to have been because I said something about getting a VCR at a yard sale, and he was like, "I could get a VCR for mad cheap." Popped in, and I was like, "Yo," with the Tyrone Bigum's fucking heavy and shit. I was like, "Yo," I was fucking dying.
Now,
I had to follow them.
If anybody who watches this wants to follow, it's on Twitter, and you know how you use the @ symbol to find somebody's handle on Twitter. So it's @ Call a Crackhead. Yeah. And you can follow them on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
But at the same time, it's ironic because the reality is that as opposed to the average cop, a crackhead has a total economic incentive to actually fucking find your shit.
Oh, and they'll fucking get and they'll get that shit done in a hurry, dude.
Yeah.
They'll get that shit done in a hurry because they want that rock.
Speaking of economic incentives, The Senate just gave the Pentagon an $82 billion boost.
Oh, sweet.
That's more money than Russia's entire military budget.
They gotta fund
forget about the
Space
trillions
Force,
of dollars
baby.
that are missing.
Hey, Space Force! Yeah.
You know the best
you gotta
part?
come up with like a song for that.
You know, the best part about Space Force is that their special operations is going to be called Space Rangers.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And I am so excited at the prospect of an actual unit patch whose motto is to infinity and beyond. I can't even tell you.
I know, Andrew, I know you saw that meme of the guy trying to fit back into his fucking uniform because he heard about the Space Force.
Hey,
I like the other one with Lieutenant Dan. Don't need no legs in space.
That's right. That's right.
You know, the funny thing is both like Lindsay and Carrie Michelle, they can all tell you, like, seriously, I was so excited because I'm like, oh my god, Space Rangers.
Holy shit.
I was a little concerned you might rejoin up.
Right.
Yeah, right?
Please don't.
Re-enlist and shit. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready, coach. Put me in.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You know what? Again, weightless. It doesn't matter that I'm fat.
You know what?
Snort and slim fast with the GD214.
I love the Battlestar Galactica Space Force memes that have been going around. Have you guys seen that? Like the "Do your part, citizen. Would you like to learn more?"
Oh, Starship Troopers.
Oh, Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The wrong one came out of my mouth. That happens. But yeah, Starship Troopers. The Starship Troopers memes from Space Force have been fucking hilarious.
The one that you posted with Trump.
United States Space Force. That's the Facebook page. David Balladine's part of it.
Nice. Yeah, well, the one that you posted with Trump.
All hail the David.
Yeah, with the fucking password.
Oh yeah, I made that one.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I was
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right, from Spaceballs, where Scroob's head is on backwards and you can see his ass in front of it. Like, yeah. And I put Trump's head on there. That was great. Yeah.
That was fucking classic.
Yeah, okay. So the Senate just gave the Pentagon an $82 billion boost. That's more money than Russia's entire military budget.
Yeah.
There are few bipartisan projects in Congress these days, but Republicans and Democrats have no trouble joining together to feed more money into the Pentagon's gaping mouth. Yeah. By a vote of 85 to 10 on Thursday morning, the Senate approved the annual National Defense Authorization Act, technically called the John S. McCain National Defense Authorization Act, because
it's almost like they wanted me to hate it even more.
Yeah, right.
Than I already did.
The Songbird McCain Act.
Yeah. It's gonna shoot itself down.
It serves as the budget for the U.S. military, which in this year is receiving $716 billion, an increase of $82 billion from last year. That increase was agreed upon in March as part of the overall 2-year budget deal that smashed Obama-era spending caps and boosted military spending to $165 million or $765 billion over the next 2 years.
Jesus.
It's not just that military spending crosses party lines, but that it smooths over nearly every political division in Washington today. Democrats have shown virtually no interest in Trump's major policy priorities, but only 7 Democrats plus Senator Bernie Sanders, who caucused with Democrats, voted against Trump's new nukes. Senator Rand Paul and Mike Lee were the only Republicans to vote against the NDAA.
Hang on.
You know, that's
Mike Lee, he is what is it? He chairs the
Liberty Caucus?
Well, an intelligence committee. Like that guy knows his shit militarily, and he's standing against this. I'm just saying.
Because why do the people who have lost how many trillions of dollars already need a bunch more money?
Between I believe it's between DOD and housing and urban development. There's like $21 trillion missing, and that's just between those two bureaucracies alone.
Missing.
Yeah.
It's
well,
in
yeah,
fucking,
of course.
No.
It's in the Cayman
unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in
exactly.
the fucking Cayman Islands. I guarantee you that's where.
Oh, I don't think.
Nah.
Okay.
I know where some of it is, but
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm sure some of it funds the black budget.
Yeah. I mean,
along with drug money and everything else.
Yeah. The spending increases will allow the Pentagon to buy more fighter jets, to create cyber warfare units, and to develop new, smaller nuclear weapons. There is, however,
tactical pocket
no
nukes.
Force. The extra $82 billion will, quote, bring us back to a position of primacy, Defense Attorney James Madison, February.
Because we're not in a position
how
of
are we
primacy
not
now.
Yeah, how are we not primary now? Like, literally every country on planet Earth already bases its foreign policy around what they think the United States will do in response.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, to put the Pentagon's $82 billion funding increase into perspective, consider that Russia's entire military budget totals only $61 billion.
Yeah, but Russia's way more efficient with their money.
China, which boasts the most expensive military in the world after the U.S. China, which boasts the most expensive military in the world after the U.S., plans to spend only $175 billion this year.
Yeah,
well, the United States spends on military alone more than the next 25 countries.
27
combined, and a lot of those people are our allies.
That's not adjusted for GDP though, because there's nations that spend way more of their GDP on military, like North Korea.
Well, that's true.
Well over 50%.
Yeah, it's because North Korea has a GDP of like $10. Like,
wait, no, 500 bolivars.
Hey, you're giving them more credit than they deserve.
That's like $3. Treat Betty.
All right, so then like 1,200 bolivars.
Unless you factor in fake budget, and then maybe more.
Hi, Polly. Polly's here. He says he came here for the Frankenfinger.
It's wrapped up. But I can flip you off with it. I can flip all of you off with it.
That's right, like a super flip off too. Like it's extra large, so
yeah, it is. It's extra big right now.
Yeah, she said group you.
Yeah, I gotta check out early, guys.
Oh,
all
right.
Oh, Dan, you're gonna miss the best article.
Dude, it's only 18 more minutes. You can't hang for 18 minutes.
15 minutes.
For real?
Texas cops arrest protesters for desecrating thin blue line flag.
Flag that's already considered a desecration under flag code.
Yeah. Violation of flag code, totally.
Yeah. Yep. Not only that, but the constitutional right to desecrate any fucking flag has been upheld time and time again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
a brewing battle between auditors and Leon Valley police erupted today when cops arrested several protesters and seized several cameras after one of them desecrated the thin blue line flag in front of City Hall. Police
do you see that? They don't even have to be right. They have the authority to fuck with you if you piss them off over anything.
Right, exactly like the lemonade thing. It doesn't matter if the law exists. They will still, because they're violence. This
just highlights the gang mentality.
It gets better.
When you're a hammer, everything looks like a fucking nail.
It gets better. Police claim they were making the arrest because the protesters were obstructing the passageway to walk inside Leon Valley City Hall, but they almost bowled over a woman trying to enter the station who had nothing to do with the protest. In fact, it was the same woman that the police are basing the arrest on because she was entering the building as protesters stood inside a passageway that leads outside inside City Hall.
What the fuck?
Wait. So
they based the arrest on a woman who wasn't even involved?
Yes, because she was walking into the building and they were behind her. They almost ran her over trying to get to the protesters.
So they're going to arrest you because they were impatient to fuck you up for disrespecting them and they almost hurt an innocent
Right.
bystander.
So their argument is, we had to hurt this person who was just trying to get inside, who you likely would have let past you.
Right. Because you were
disrespecting trying to arrest you, so this is your fault. Does this sound like an abusive ex to anyone else? I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
because you were disrespecting us. You were disrespecting.
Can I just say this real quick?
Can't disrespect.
That it. Like the irony isn't lost on me because of the fact that it's like that is a symbol of the fucking police state, yet they fucking act like a police state because somebody violated the fucking flag. Like, Jesus Christ,
not
you guys
even
be, like, more...
Muslims are peaceful and we will kill you if you say otherwise.
Not even
exactly, dude.
Their special fucking little club flag.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not even the fucking flag of the nation.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. Like, that's how they want it, though. They want it to be like representative of America, and like if you're not with us, you're against us, kind of bullshit.
Which is such bullshit. I just don't want to be involved.
Yeah,
you're all idiots.
Like,
all of you are fucking assholes.
Like, go fuck off and have your circle jerk somewhere else and leave me alone.
Only Sith deal with absolutes, Padawan.
One of the protesters who was arrested said
is that from the Space Force Oath? I think that's from the Space
I think it is, yeah.
One of the protesters who was arrested said a cop told him they were following orders to, quote, go grab the cameras, which is a huge constitutional violation, especially since they already have security cameras that should have recorded the protesters' actions.
How does
just following orders? I don't understand what you were so upset about. They told us to do things.
I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, down the memory hole with the evidence.
Right. How can any cop? Okay, we know how, because they can discriminate against applicants with high IQs. But seriously, still, how can any cop in 2018 think it's okay to take people's fucking cameras away from how do they think that that's okay, that they can do that and get away? Well, I guess
because this is the property of the state.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
do not question the orders of the Führer.
Yeah, I mean, but don't they know that they'll get fucking dragged into the Supreme Court over it? Like, do they want to deal with that?
That's the other thing, is that they have to have the money in order to fight this in the first place. The state has nearly unlimited resources.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes you'll get an attorney that wants to make a name for themselves and will help you.
Or a constitutional attorney, yeah.
Right, that'll take the case to the Supreme Court just for the notoriety and the exposure and things like that.
And the sad thing is that some of the best, like the ACLU has walked itself back from supporting free speech recently. And the only other one that I can think of would be Liberty University's Liberty Council, and they're conservative Christians and so right wing that they're never actually going to fight.
Right.
So
you almost never hear about the ACLU anymore. That's a good point, because you almost never hear about them anymore.
Well, there's an article the other day about the ACLU losing a lawsuit or something or other. I look it up real quick.
It's like the ACLU is the opposite of the Liberty University, because ACLU has been so liberal for so long.
Yeah, it's pretty left wing.
And and the thing is that the ACLU, there have been cases, I can remember about 15 years ago, where there were cases where both the ACLU and Liberty Council offered their services for free simultaneously and offered to work together because it was that kind of a case.
Right.
But in the past 15 years, the ACLU has walked itself back from the principles of civil liberties.
Yeah.
Well,
ACLU is a largely liberal left, quote unquote, organization these days.
Yeah,
well,
and
ever since the left,
years, the left.
I haven't
so authoritarian.
Yeah, well,
I can't in recent memory remember the ACLU defending anybody on firearms rights.
No, not at all. But you see, the whole thing is that you see them walking back on shit, but it lines up with the left's agenda to become more authoritarian, to clamp down on free speech. You know, all these things, and they're fucking following right in lockstep with it.
Yeah, they've been ending up on.
So who's pushing this agenda? Who's pushing this agenda, and who's influencing the ACLU to walk back on the shit that they used to support? Is what my question is.
And if you ask me,
Soros and Ansky.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
They keep ending up on the wrong side of these cases and keep going through mental gymnastics to justify, you know, what they want people to think are civil liberties.
Well, yeah, that goes back to our conversation earlier about identity politics.
Yeah.
The ACLU is becoming its own branch of identity politics.
Well, that's exactly what I mean.
And it never should have.
And this whole agenda, you could watch it roll out like incrementally because it became like progressively more aggressive.
Right, and civil liberties, for anybody who may not know, anybody who watches this, you know, 100 years from now may not know, ACLU stands for the American Civil Liberties Union. Civil liberties are supposed to be a principled, logical stance. If it's not okay to infringe on this liberty from this, you know, when this person exercises it, it's not okay to infringe on it ever. For anyone, no matter what way they're exercising it that might piss you off. It used
it's supposed to be free of bias.
It used to fucking mean something. It used to be a principled thing. But it's just fucking, it's not anymore. Nobody knows how to be that way anymore.
And and it's a thing that I have to admit that we anarchists are doing it to ourselves to a certain extent because we're so disenfranchised with the court system and everything that we're refusing to have anything to do with it. But really, we need anarchists. We need libertarians. Small L, not big L, because that's fucking dumpster fire.
No, I know where you're going. I know where you're going. No.
We need people who are willing to go, okay, I will play your little song and dance long enough to get the license that you say that I need to be able to argue before you for liberty. We really do. We do. Because, I mean, from a really pragmatic standpoint.
No, you know what?
No.
I had stuff I had to do in court for years because of my ex, because he kept fucking filing motions over our son. I represented myself. That's how I do that. I'm not going to represent somebody else. Fucking educate yourself and represent yourself.
Yeah,
shove it right back up their fucking asses.
I have to. I agree with both of you on this one, but I have to agree with Andrew. The reality is that if we lived in Ancapistan, it would be different. We don't live in Ancapistan. We live in the fascist United States of America. And they control the system, and they control the guns, and they control the power base, and then they control the supporters. And those supporters will come and shoot me in the fucking face if I disagree with their principles. So we do need people that know how to navigate their system in order to keep our people out of their system.
Well,
to be fair, I thought Andrew was going to say something different.
That's where I was going. Is I was saying, like, okay, I don't know how many of you guys have watched Altered Carbon. It's the Netflix series. So the quote unquote terrorists who are the freedom fighters in that object to this idea that you can transfer human consciousness within like this computer thing and blah blah blah. And people should only have a limited lifespan. You shouldn't be able to transfer consciousness from one body to another.
Hey, it sounds like me.
They use that transferring of consciousness. They use that tool against the people who support it.
Dude, that's like Westworld. That's like Westworld. Is anybody else watching Westworld?
Oh, yeah. Well, I haven't seen the new season, but I watched season 1.
Oh my
and none
God,
of this stuff is predictive programming, right?
Season 2 is all of that shit, Andrew. You gotta watch it. It's good stuff.
I really do have to watch it because I adored season 1 and its questions about what makes consciousness and things. But anyway, what I'm saying though is that they used something that existed, that they knew I can't just wish this away. It exists.
Yeah, exactly.
So the best way to fight it is to fight it in a way that I can manipulate it to my advantage without becoming part of it necessarily.
Yeah,
and
use it against itself.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And we're not okay, and we're not. We are absolutely not talking about people running for office and becoming politicians.
No.
Absolutely fucking not. No, none of that changing from the inside shit.
I think
we're talking
opportunities to use it against itself without changing it from the inside. I think those opportunities to do that are pretty
thin and pretty rare. But
I'm talking about people.
I do see. I actually had this conversation with Shane Radliff a couple weeks ago, and after an episode of the Bonded podcast, and we talked about it, and there is a need. There is a need for people that are lawyers, are advocates, that are a go-between between the anarchist community and the state, that know how to navigate the state, and can keep anarchists out of jail for simple, non-violent, black market, gray market-ish type actions.
Right.
We have to have those people as a wall, as a defense.
Why can't we just
to defend?
Why can't we just make anarchy a religion? I mean, like the Pennsylvania Dutch they had.
But you can.
Then we won't be taxable.
Well, you could make. I mean, at least you kind of could, but the problem is that one, you need some sort of existential thing to worship, really, but two, the issue is really
we can worship jean jackets,
memes.
We'll make David Ballantyne.
What if we just worship the sovereignty of the individual?
That's not.
No,
that's not existential.
The Church of the Invisible Hand.
Has to be something corporeal. It's got to be me.
Yeah, the invisible hand of the market.
You know what? We'll make it David Ballantyne. I'm sure he'll agree.
Which one? Which one? There's like 8 million of them on there.
That shit is out of hand already.
David is love. David
I heard about that.
Good God.
I missed that fucker.
I have like 35 or 40 friend requests sitting in limbo, and the other day, half of them were David Ballantyne profile pictures.
I heard somebody told me about that.
Get back on Facebook, Dan. Damn it.
No, I hate Facebook.
I don't care. I'll make you a fucking account. I'm making Dan an account.
No, I don't want to go back.
I can't remember.
I'm a reformed Facebooker, all right?
It's just one hit.
It's Dan. Cancer.
It's just one hit. It's just one hit. You're not an addict.
No, but
just try it. You'll like it.
I actually have more effect on Twitter, to be quite honest.
You'd be a whole lot cooler if you did.
I have way more outreach on Twitter.
True.
Because sphere of influence is way larger.
Twitter it's easier to get like total strangers engaged on your posts on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, because even when my stuff was public on Facebook, I wouldn't get much engagement from like strangers on it. And if it was because they were offended and they called me a fucking bigot or CIS white male trash.
Well, they do that to us on Twitter too, Dan.
Yeah. Well, I don't really get too much shit from people. I mean, the lefties won't even fucking challenge me, so.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I salivate waiting for them to try anything.
I sadly have noticed
like an attack dog.
Way fewer lefties on my page since I've started just like posting photos and videos from range day and stuff, and it's just like guns. All of a sudden, inexplicably, they're like really to challenge me on things. I don't know what's going on.
That's why we call them freedom seeds, because they'll free you from collectivist shells.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but what I was saying though is I was saying that anarchists have done it to ourselves. We have, with our rejection of it, gone, well, no, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't even want to be part of it. I reject its legitimacy, and that's fine to that point. But then they also use that and they extend that, and everybody extends that to say, well, I don't even want to learn about it. I don't even want to understand it. Anything else.
Right.
What we've done is
you're doing yourself a disservice though by not learning the system of your enslavement.
Right. And you need to learn how to manipulate.
Exactly.
I'm going to bring up a biblical thing here, and I'm sure that it's going to annoy a ton of people, and I don't really give two fucks. So,
hey, it doesn't.
So
look, there's some really great advice in the Bible. There's also some really fucked up shit, but
yeah, exactly.
Right, but so like with Persian law, right? You couldn't repeal Persian law. Once a law was declared, it was the law. You couldn't repeal it. So once the law was declared that Jews could be assaulted and killed and everything else, it couldn't be repealed. But what could happen then after, was it Esther? I think it was Esther. I don't know. I don't remember. Or it was either Esther or Ruth. Convinced the king that Jews were also people and deserving of something as far as protection. Instead, what he did is he also issued a law that said they were allowed to defend themselves by any means necessary. Had she not known that she needed to manipulate the law that way, they would have just kept getting slaughtered. But the moment that all of a sudden they could defend themselves by any means necessary, now anyone who wanted to kill them had to face swords and shields and all this other weaponry, and that changed it. And it's the same thing now, where we can try and ignore things and try and be ignorant of things and just not care and say, well, it's all authoritarian bullshit. Or we can sit down and say, look, it's authoritarian bullshit. That's acknowledged. But the bottom line is that if we can use said authoritarian bullshit against itself, then we can at least give ourselves a little bit of breathing room to continue
a fighting chance.
Right.
Yeah, like principles are great. Principles are fantastic. We all have them, but they are ours. They're our guiding ideology, right? They're how we live.
They're not going to stop anybody else from aggressing against you.
My principles is not going to stop anyone from shooting me in the face for not paying a ticket and resisting arrest and not wanting to go to jail for not paying a ticket. Right? Those my principles do not justify or do not guide other people.
Right. No, and they're not justified in treating you that way.
No, they're not. They're not justified. They're not justified at all. But
that doesn't make you unshot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be a principled corpse, or you can be somebody who lives to fight another day because you sacrificed a little bit, at least on the surface. You made them believe that you did, whether you actually did or not, enough to infiltrate it and fix it and try and push them back. And I'm a tactician. I'm a trained tactician. That's what I do. And tactically, you need
I don't know that it's
going
to push them back.
It might not push them back permanently, but that's the thing, is you're not trying to push them back permanently on their terms.
You're just
trying to push them
temporarily. Yeah.
You're trying to give them a point where all of a sudden you've turned them in on themselves long enough to distract them that you have that opportunity to go to the public and say more things as long as you can until they hunt us down and kill us.
That's what it is. That's what Ben Stone talks about in his book, Citizen Subversion and Sabotage. Is one of the things he says. He says it 2 or 3 different times, but he says that as long as the market demand for the state exists, the state will exist. Right? The state is the familiar brand, right? It's Tide, it's Kraft, it's Budweiser. And as long as people are buying Tide and Kraft and Budweiser, then Tide and Kraft and Budweiser will exist. Until the mentality changes and people start looking at alternatives, and people start realizing that Tide and Kraft and Budweiser are not good for them, and the freedoms that they could have if they weren't addicted to Tide and Kraft and Budweiser, then the freedom, the demand for freedom would exceed the demand for the state. And until the demand for freedom exceeds the demand for the state is going to exist.
Right. And we already see some of that happening. And, we laugh about it, but the thing with like dominoes filling in potholes and shit, we already see, like we talked about, vigilante, all the things. We're seeing like people taking over the job that the state is neglecting. Like vigilante, like behaving, like taking over things the state was supposed to do with our tax dollars and fucking didn't. And you see private organizations and private people stepping in.
The threat management solutions in Detroit. Right?
Yeah.
Private security.
And that is exactly what I want Fetty to be. That's exactly why I want Iron Harvest Tactical Innovations to be, is that same thing. Right now, the goal is foreign security. What I'd love to do with it is make it a domestic security, make it a replacement for the police force. But the thing is, people right now, anyway, people are convinced, right, that if the state says it, that is more reliable than if a person says it.
No. Here. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Right? The state is providing a service, or the local governments are providing a service of people.
Yeah, but rhetoric keeps people closed-minded.
It does have propaganda, right? But we need anarchists to step up and to do things that the state is doing, and being able to point to it and see, look, that works.
Yeah.
Right? Like with the pothole repairs, vigilante road repairs. Start NOLA, right? The company down there in New Orleans. They're crowdfunding road repairs by selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
And it's working. And
there's anarchists in Portland that are fixing fucking potholes.
They're calm, but exactly.
Look at even voluntary or volunteer things like the
Red Cross, the Salvation Army, the Cajun Navy
during the hurricane.
Example.
Yeah, the Cajun Navy is a great example.
The Cajun Navy is a beautiful example, and then you had in Florida after Maria went through, or Amelia, whichever one it was, that fucked up Florida. You had like food trucks going down into Florida and giving out food and feeding these people, and then the government stepped in and said, "Oh no, you can't do that. You don't have a permit."
Right.
Yeah, right? You haven't paid me for the right to help people in need.
Right.
Services were being provided. It took FEMA 5 days to get water to the Superdome.
It wasn't even services by me and my neighbor went down there and maybe we'll poison somebody, maybe not. We're going to do our best, though. These were legit food trucks that are actually permitted in other fucking jurisdictions that know how to serve food to crowds and know, they're legit businesses, and the government still shut them down for not having local
that's my point, though, is the problem is, look at what happened after they shut down. You didn't have protests in the street. You didn't have any of that where people were saying, no, I want this service. Instead, everyone went, oh, that's sad. And then they went, what you need to argue within that construct that they'll believe, right? Because they're still brainwashed for 12 years of school in the United States. You need
15,000 hours
within that construct.
Riot. They'll riot over their fucking favorite sports team winning a game, but they won't riot over this shit? What the fuck is wrong with the modern human being?
Because they defer all of their judgment to the state. Exactly. They've gotten used to deferring all of that judgment to the state. So what you need to do, you need attorneys who have an anarchist mindset, who are arguing within the courts for all of these anarchist things. And then all of a sudden, once these courts start going, once you get the judges convinced and they all start going, yeah, you know what, that's reasonable. Little by little, you can whittle away at that. I'm not saying run for office because that's bullshit, because then you're ruling people. What I'm saying is that attorneys, their entire job is to argue for people. That is their job. Well, and I think that is an acceptable thing for an anarchist to do.
There's all kinds of attorneys.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that is an acceptable thing. If you're a defense attorney, that's an acceptable thing for an anarchist to do, is say,
no, absolutely.
I'm going to learn your laws, I'm going to learn your bullshit and all your little song and dance, but I'm going to use it to argue for the people who are trying to fight for your decision.
Yeah, and that's what Andre over at Seeds of Liberty, he's a law student, and that's his philosophy. I've heard him talk about it on the Seeds of Liberty podcast a few times, and that's his entire philosophy is the system exists. The system exists now. You can't ignore it. I mean, you can try to live outside of it, but the things
it can still come after you, and it can
it's
still
risk versus reward, and is living on the run really freedom? No, it's not really freedom. It's just a different kind of slavery. You're slaving something else.
And they'll still fucking Ruby Ridge your ass.
Yep, yes, sure fuck will. But that's the thing, and and I've thought about it, and I've been like, what would be great is if I could win like the Powerball, right? Win millions of dollars, take a shit ton of money, a bunch of anarchists, a bunch of anarchist vets, and arm everybody, and then we'll set up in Somalia and like build a walled city, and we will just be good to go. We'll go from there.
Yeah.
We've been talking about Anfam Island for probably years now.
A couple of years now, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Problem with that idea is that I don't play the lottery because I can do math. So.
Right. I mean, yeah. Hey, we're past 11 o'clock, and we lost Dan already.
We're at 2 hours now, anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's it. We're down to one viewer. We were up to 7, now we're down to 1.
Okay.
So, hey, thanks for you guys that chimed in the comments, all, 3 of you. Yeah, this has been another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends. We'll catch you in 2 weeks for another fantastic episode. Peace.
See ya.